Today, we are diving deep into one of the most talked about real estate markets in the entire country, Irvine, California. As we head into November 2025, the market is full of, well, contradictions. So if you're a buyer, a seller, or maybe just keeping an eye on things, you really need to know what's going on behind the scenes. Let's get into it.
So let's start with a big one. $2.75 million. That is the median list price for a home in Irvine right now. I mean, wow, it's a massive number, but what does it actually tell us? Is the market just red hot, or is there a much more complicated story unfolding here?
Okay, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get a quick snapshot of the market. Then we're going to look at the one key indicator you need to know about. After that, we'll dig into the classic supply versus demand story, decode what's really going on with pricing, and finally, we'll give you the verdict, what this all means for you.
All right, let's kick things off with that high-level view. What's the main headline for the Irvine market today?
So the big takeaway is that things have kind of plateaued. That crazy, frenetic energy we saw before, it's settled down a bit. But, and this is a big but, don't get it twisted. With so few homes for sale, sellers are absolutely still in the driver's seat. It's a really interesting balancing act right now.
Now, to really understand that balance, we have to look at one key number. You can think of it as the market's pulse. It's called the Market Action Index, or the MAI.
Think of the MAI like checking the market's temperature. It takes all this complex data, how fast homes are selling, how many are available, and just boils it all down into one easy-to-understand number. If the number's high, it's a hot seller's market. If it's low, things are cooling off in the buyer's favor. Simple as that.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. The MAI only moved one single point this month, from 35 up to 36. Now, that seems like a tiny shift, right? But it's actually super significant. It tells us that conditions are still tightening, even just slightly, in favor of sellers. This one little number confirms they have the advantage, but it kind of begs the question, why? What's behind that number?
So yeah, why is that MAI ticking upwards? To figure that out, we have to look at the engine that drives any market, good old supply and demand. Here it is. This is the absolute core of the story, supply. Right now, there are only 249 homes for sale in the entire city of Irvine. That is an incredibly low number. This scarcity, this lack of options, is the number one reason sellers have so much leverage and prices are staying way up there.
But what about the other side of the coin, the demand? Well, homes are sitting on the market for a median of 91 days. That's about 3 months. And that tells us something important. While inventory is tight, buyers aren't in some kind of frenzy just snapping up anything that hits the market. Sales are happening at a steady pace, but it's not exactly lightning fast.
Okay, so we've got low supply and steady, but not crazy, demand. Let's connect that back to the huge number we started with and really decode that price tag. What are people actually paying?
And this is where the plot thickens. Yeah, the median list price for everything on the market is $2.75 million. But look at the median price for new listings, homes just hitting the market. It's way lower, under $2 million. This is a huge clue. It might mean that the newer homes coming on are smaller or in different neighborhoods, but it definitely tells us there's a much wider range of prices out there than that one big number suggests.
And check this out. This chart just brilliantly shows the nuance of the Irvine market. Even though we keep saying it's a seller's market, a full 40% of listings have actually had to drop their price. That's wild. Only a tiny 2% have seen their price go up. So what does that tell you? It says that while sellers have the advantage, they can't just name any price they want. Buyers are still pushing back.
So let's put all the pieces together. What's the final verdict here? If you're out there trying to buy or sell, what should you take away from all of this data?
Okay, for sellers, it's pretty clear. You hold a lot of the cards because inventory is so low, but you can't overplay your hand. You have to price your home correctly from day one, or you're going to risk joining that 40% who have to make a price cut. And for you buyers, look, it's tough out there for sure, but there are cracks of opportunity. Be ready to move fast when you find the right place, but don't be afraid to negotiate, especially on homes that have been sitting for a while. That's where you might find a deal.
And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? We have this incredible tension in the market. On one hand, you have this super tight supply that's keeping prices high. But on the other hand, you have buyers pushing back, causing a huge number of price drops. It's a market in a really delicate balance. And the big question is, which one of those forces is going to win out as we head into 2026?